How long she been competing? Like how many shows she has done so far? Hello, George? Oh no, something wrong with my end. Hello?
Oh, yeah, I just stepped away for a minute because I got a
Oh,
call. But
oh, I
that's why I
thought you.
put
I
everything.
thought. I thought it was something wrong with my end and stuff.
Nah, I got a call while I was on the phone. I saw the message and I just maybe that's why
Oh,
I showed Rachel's thing. But you know, but she's been competing as a pro since 2021. Now
okay.
she's done at least between her first show was the St. Louis Pro, where she got a qualification, and then she did the Olympia after that. She came back in 2022. I think she did St. Louis again and got another qualification with St. Louis. I think it was Pittsburgh. No, it was Pittsburgh. I think that next year, and she done Olympia. She has not cracked the top 10 so far, but she does have a lot of potential. She's a great physique. She's been competing for a long time. Her story, she went through a lot in the past. As you know, she said she got through a divorce. She had been a victim of a dog bite.
Mm.
She's been doing some stuff on the side. She's working as a coach because she's working with I think with real superheroes. That's what she's coaching
Yeah.
now. And this is where the debate is like she's really put on some size. Some say is she still a physique level competitor or she could do well in women's bodybuilding?
She can't double dip.
No, you can't. When you are an open competitor, you can't double dip unless you're
She's
doing
open. Like, what do you mean open competitor? Like, what she's
meaning
what?
that she's like to get to Olympia, the main Olympia, you have to compete in open shows, which means
Oh,
you are open pro. If you do
okay,
now, only people that can double dip in the pro level is master competitors, but they have to
oh, all
pay
right,
to compete. Yeah, because you do
okay.
master, you have to pay, and you could do both. If you're a physique competitor, you can do both physique and women's bodybuilding. But you have to pay
So
for
you
those.
have to be a mat. You have to be a masters to double dip, and
No,
she's
no, you can't. Masters don't double dip.
say
Oh yeah,
run
Masters. Oh
that
yeah,
by
Masters.
me again.
Yeah,
Run that
yeah,
by
Masters.
me again, please.
Yeah, Masters do double dip. Yeah, Masters can
Oh,
double dip.
okay,
Oh yeah. I thought you
okay,
said him.
they, okay, all right.
Yeah. 'Cause I know who I know, Robin Mays. She did a show last year where she did both women's bodybuilding and women's physique. And
Okay,
Masters
so
are the only one.
she's an open competitor, so she has to do strictly women's physique. She can't go to another division like that.
Well, if she wants to, if she feels like she wants to go up, she can move up.
But for
But
her to go to Olympia, that's what I'm trying to get. Like
yeah, for, she,
all right,
like but I know ladies who have qualified for Olympia after they switch divisions. But if she does a show, she has to particularly do that division she's going to do at the show. She can't do two divisions at the show.
okay,
So when she competes at the Olympia, or if she does a pro qualifier, I mean I'm sorry, she does an Olympia qualifier, and she's competing in a Pacific division, she
hmm
has to do that division. She can't do another division at the show because what they
okay,
do, they sign a contract. In that contract, you can only do the division you sign up for. Now, if you do, like I said again, if you do masters, you can do both divisions. You can do women's physique and women's bodybuilding. I don't know if they let big competitors do that either. They might, because they can double dip. Here we got a comment from my man, Jay again. He says, because he got a lot of brothers been up here. Say he says this. He says, Shiraka, honestly, is my opinion, should be the standard of WPD. I know, but that's not the judges are doing. I'm rewarding. Also, he says Damon J says that yeah, I was surprised Parmesan didn't place in the top five. Yeah, I was really surprised because Barbara 2 weeks before this show did the Van Isle show in Vancouver, British Columbia. She won the women's physique title there, which qualifies her for fifth uh, Olympia, and she's been top four competitor for the last 4 years. So I'm thinking, my thought was that I thought she was going to do was going to get in the top fives. Like my thing was, I I knew she was going to win. As long as you had Natalia there was a chance she's going to win. And then you still have people like Rachel and Sharonica and maybe a couple others that probably could have cracked that top five. I thought she might be either maybe third or fourth, but she got seventh place. And that's crazy. Seventh place? That's really low. But like I said, she's really a trooper. It says, I could care less about the wellness and bikini, but the lineup in the WPD was solid with Rachel, Natalia, Anna, and Sharonica. Yeah, I mean, it was a good lineup. I mean, it was supposed to be originally 12 competitors, but one of these dropped out. Don't know why what happened. She lives in Spain. It could have been a travel issue, or in some cases, it could have been like a medical issue. If this is one thing is when you sign a contract to do these shows, you have to have, if you can't do it, you have to have an excuse, or you have to pay a fine. I think it's about 1,500 for the fine because you signed a contract.
I don't know. I think maybe I need to come back out because
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know you. Is it me or you? But let me come back out.
All right.
I'll come back.
Okay.
I'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This is from a man long process. About 2 weeks ago, I knew Natalia and Rachel was going to the top two neck to neck. Yeah, that's right because they are. I would say they are the top level for the division, and these women have done pretty well in their career. Natalia, like I said, has been competing for a long time. As you know, has been uh, a physique champion. She has been a Miss Physique Olympia. She has been in competing for a long time, and she also recognizes the work she put in over time. But she's still hungry for a shot at that title. And her and Sarah have this big rivalry. They've been rivals for as long as you can remember. So here there he is. I think my man came back. Here he goes.
For some reason, I had the computer on a little longer because you know for you to thank you.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah, I
uploading
know.
this video. It's uploading this video too. So then when we hear, it start acting up. So,
Yeah, I can tell you that. There's something about my computer too. Um, Here we got a comment from Dame J. Says Amanda Machado is Moya Continente. Just saw her on the screen. Oh yeah, she was. It was on. I was on Kalayo. Kalayo from Hardcore Fitness. I mean, Hardcore Female Bodybuilding fan. He follows a lot of ladies. Shout out to him. He also makes content. Yeah, I can jump on his IG. And I think I heard that possibly, and this is Amanda Machado, that possibly Amanda might be doing either, I think she might be doing New York or she might do Toronto. I thought she was gonna do possibly do here she is. I thought she would possibly do Pittsburgh, but she decided to do probably New York or maybe try to do Atlanta. And she competed last year in Chicago and Atlanta. She was top two. She was a second runner up to both times to Anna Hearth, and she has really grown. She lives out in Vegas. She's even been working with bodybuilders like Chelsea Dion and also you know also I think she's working with who else? Oh yeah, Susan Graham. And these two, she has a great look to her. I mean, she's
yeah.
really put on some thighs.
I
This is
know
his
she.
with her fiance.
I know she do sessions. Not to
No, I
bring
doubt
that
it.
up. Yeah,
No,
I think I seen a video with her. She wrestles. She do like wrestling videos.
no, she probably did back in the day.
Oh.
Yeah, but not now because she's running her own business. She hangs out with Lavinia Barros. They do
Yeah,
some.
but yeah, but yeah, maybe that's back years back, but I know I seen her doing like wrestling videos.
Yeah, yeah. So, and we got another comment from shout out to my man Kale says, I know it's 5 people in the chat right now, but I feel like I'm the only one here, Lawrence Perkins. But anyway, I digress. That's what's up, bro. And Lawrence says, good afternoon. Shout out to you, Lawrence. Everyone, good afternoon, everyone. And also he says again, also we get here a comment from uh, Dave says, when does the IFB New York Pro competitor list come out this week? Well, I'm hoping it should be out by now. I'm going to check, but I think they won't
This is
post it
this
till
coming Saturday, right?
coming this Saturday because you
Yeah,
say you're going there.
yeah.
But the
I
list
gotta
is
go
not.
after work and stuff.
Yeah, you see, so because you're gonna go to on the finals because you feel like you
Yeah,
won't be able to see the prejudging.
yeah, yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Well, the list's not out yet. I think they probably won't drop it till about 9 or 10 o'clock. You know,
Hopefully, I don't be not good. I'm sorry, I ain't mean.
yeah. Uh, I will say I know some confirmations. I know Chelsea Dion did an interview with about channel. She said she's going to be doing the show. Chelsea did both the an out show. She went by out show, got her third qualification. Also, she did Triple O Dynasty, which got her. She took third at that show. Nadia Capasoto is going to do New York Pro, and
Papa Tosto.
yeah,
Papa
yes,
Tosto.
yeah, that was so yeah. Hey, I'm from the South. We say it how we spell it.
It's Spanish. It's Papa
No, it's
Tosto. You gotta say
it's
her name right. Because
it's she's
I bet you if it
Italian.
was the other,
She's Italian.
okay, but you saying it wrong because
So
she
I'm saying
pronounced
how
it
I say it.
Papa
You gotta,
Tosto.
lucky
Papa
you in New York. Lucky
Tosto.
in New York.
Because if it was the
Whatever,
other way around, you'd be
Papa
correcting me.
Soto.
You you
All right,
be you
Papa
be
Soto,
you be
whatever.
correcting the hell out of me. I know how
That's
you
that's
is.
that's the people that matter to me. I correct you about.
Yeah, you say her name right. Capatosto.
Capatoso.
Capatosto.
Papa
Capato. Listen,
Soto.
you playing. You playing. But go ahead.
Yeah. Play. Here, this is from a man. Lawrence says can be any one time in. Okay, well, he says like this. Oh, so this actually go like this. Um, it's the first comment. He says, "I understand, Damien J. You title to your opinion, bro. I can be anyone's game, and most of those women deserve it to be on the top level. We want to." As admirers, but I look at it like this, not next time. Oh, he said, I think it's, Owen says, he says, yeah, Lloyd Perkins, Queer may be a former Olympia champion, but Rachel Daniels stole the show. So yeah, because she's a great poser, and uh, he's laughing at us. This is from Lawrence. He's laughing at us.
Oh,
Okay, and also this is from Damien says, I know it's hard for me to pronounce her name, KL Nadia Capasoto.
Capatosto.
Whatever,
Capato. That's what she said.
Capatos,
That's what she said.
Capapio,
Break it down.
Capato,
Capato.
Capatus.
To. To. To.
I just say
Capatosto.
Nadia. Because like I said, I don't.
Yeah,
If I
say
can't say it
Nadia.
right,
Say
Nadia.
Nadia.
If I
Don't
can't
say
say
her
it
name.
right, I'm not gonna mess it up.
Say Nadia C. Say Nadia C. Or it's Cap.
Nadia C.
Cap.
Nah,
Or,
Nadia Cap. It's called another Cap. But the thing is, as I said again, the divisions are getting to the point where the guy we talked about before, you know, the guidelines are just not being followed by the judges. And
George, you kind of
right,
blurry. I don't know if it's me or you. I don't know what's going on.
yeah, check it, maybe uh,
No, just
I don't
keep
know.
going. Keep going.
Yeah. But the thing is that they set the standards, the judges and the officials, of what division is supposed to be. And you look at people like women in the division now, like you look at Sarah, you look at also someone else I'm thinking about, Zama Binta. And you remember, what was it? When she competed at the Tembe Pro, and she was coming in, just I did a video, I took a video for her when she was walking in, I think onto a bus or something. And if you look at her back was just crazy. And and the debate is that this is one lady that looked like she did a couple years ago, she did compete in for a moment. And she did that was back in, I think, 2022. She did the Romanian Muscle Fest. And you look at it now, she's really, she was in 2023, she was in the top 5. She took I think she took 3rd place, but then this year she dropped out of the top 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you look at her, she has put on crazy size. Like, look at her shoulders, look at her traps. I mean,
How tall is she?
I don't know. Maybe maybe 5'3", 5'4". See if she's that tall. Because if you're Sarah's a pretty tall woman. I think Sarah might be 5'7". And then at the high heels, she may be about 5'9". Or she might be 5'6". But Capasoto is just, it's like that. Zama is just, she's a beast. I mean, I think a lot of these ladies come from Brazil really put on a lot of size and muscle. She has that small waist, but if you look at her from the back, look at her traps, look at her shoulders. Just crazy dense. I mean, that's her friend working with her husband, And she, like I said, I'm a fan of hers. I mean, I think she has a great physique. How she played this year, don't know. She has to qualify because, as you know, if you don't get the top 3, you don't get to go to Olympia. You have to do a Olympic qualification show. So she might try to do Tampa again, which she won last year, or try to do Texas, or she might pop on New York and try to give Natalia a shot. Because I think I'm not certain yet, because that's why I'm waiting on the list, that possibly Natalia might do New York Pro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't got no comment.
Yeah, you see. But yeah, here we got a comment from our man. Shout out to our man here. Shout out to Damon J. Says Zama Binta is otherworldly. She is a stunning specimen of human woman. Also, shout out to the man Lawrence. Says Zama Binta is a true beast. Yeah, she is. Again, we have here in huge fan of Zama myself, and I think she's amazing. Her proportions is ridiculous. And also, this is from Damien J. Says, "Hell yes, Zama is a beast." Yeah, I mean, we talk about how division keeps evolving, and if you look at it now, like I remember, this is a picture I took. It is a picture I made side by side with, it was from last year's um
Triple Dynasty.
triple O.
Oh,
Now you have here the winner from last year, um Teresa and Vasic. And right here you have Ann Gruber, who won it last year. Now, if you look at these women, you couldn't tell too much of a difference. Now, if you were untrained eye, I would ask you which one is physique and which one is bodybuilding.
Are you asking me or you just asking in general?
I'm asking you.
Um, I they both look like women's physique.
Uh,
Which one is women's bodybuilding?
that would be Teresa.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, they look alike. I mean, it's I mean for like the average person, it wouldn't be like what would be the difference? Like, I know like you say Teresa Valk you critique her on her legs like her legs is not big enough quads or something like
Yeah, yeah, because I think that's one thing you need. She's more size in the quads.
that.
She has a great upper body, great back, but the thing is, size is important. Then here we go. We have another critique, and that is if you look at this is Natalia from the 2020 three season when she won at Atlantic Coast, and you had Ashley Jones when you're still in physique, and you can see Ashley started evolving. You know, she was fitting for a good while, and she moved over to bodybuilding. You know,
Natalia is not that far from her. Like I know. Well, I mean, it depends on the photo too. You know, but she doesn't look that far. Like different from Ashley.
yeah. Here we get here. This is from man Damon. Shout Damon said God hope not George Natalia needs to focus on the Olympia. No other shows for all the other competitors' sake. Yeah, that's true. I say that. Yeah, focus on Olympia. We have Vinny K. Vinny says, just why until New York Pro they're delaying the list. I don't know. You know, here's what it is. When you do this, you have to sign and be certified, and you have a time limit because you have to turn in the list within a certain deadline. So IB gets ready to set the list so they post it on their NPC online channel. They'll wait for all everybody to turn in. It's like turn your ballots for the voting. They have a certain time to turn them in, and once they turn them in, they're posted. But it's not. I think it's gonna be. It's already like 8:43, about 9 o'clock. So likely we'll probably see it at 10.
Mm.
Shout out to my man Vinny says, and Hoover competed with fewer competitors that year, so it was a default victory. Well, I won't call it a default victory. She won. It's not about it's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of the competitors. She won. Yes, compared to this year's where you had no wins at the at Triple O, but you had at least about 14 women at the Van Isle show. And one reason why I had that many women because there was no sponsor for women's physique for the Triple O. And there was another show that same weekend as the Van Isle, which was the St. Louis Pro. And that promoter dropped women's physique and it added wellness in its place. So they needed a first of year show to get out of the way. And that's why so many of them jumped onto that show because most of the time, the Vancouver show, I think the last few times, there was always more women bodybuilders than physique competitors. One year they had 3 women's physique competitors, one year they had 5. I think the only time they had the fewer number of women bodybuilding competitors was the first year. They only had Eva Montgomery. She won by default because she was the only competitor there. Shout to my man Damien J says Netta Quayo. It seems like she does the same shows coming back always Pittsburgh and New York and the Atlanta Coast Pro all the time. Her ass needs to focus on the Olympia. This is coming from a fan. Yes, I know. Now she hadn't done New York and Pittsburgh last year because I think one reason why I know I interviewed Natty Wayne Wolf who competed at Pittsburgh that year. She won because there's only 3 competitors, her and 2 other ladies. I interviewed 2 ladies, her and Sam. Sam, who competed also at that show. And I think one reason why it wasn't that many competitors because I think some ladies didn't want to feel like if Natalia does that show, then what's the point of me competing there? They could say and they only had 5 ladies at St. Louis. That was 2 more compared to, but the promoter said that if there's not a lot of bodies, he's not going to, keep on sponsoring. But the thing is, you had at least 5 ladies compared to Pittsburgh. But Jim Mannion, he's a bigger name. I think he really writes off some of this stuff, when it comes out to money stuff like that.
Mm.
Also, Pittsburgh had a big chunk of change. I think it was $10,000 for first place in women's bodybuilding. I mean, women's physique. And I was, and did the winner who won the show for men's open, because the first year they had men's open, because they really want to get attention. They got men's open. Derek Lumford, who won the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, won $100,000. This is where it kind of rubs me raw. So you come up with $100,000 for men's open, but you said you can't come up with enough money to promote and sponsor. You can take the $100,000 and cut, 30 out of it. I mean, and because you got to think about it, not just $100,000 for the first place, but you still have money for the top, I think top 3 competitors. So you couldn't tell me you couldn't move a little money around and possibly add women's bodybuilding to this show. Because one person who lives in Pennsylvania is Teresa Vasic. I think Teresa Vasic would love to do a show closer to home for her.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we got here a comment from Damien says, the Olympia battle thing this year, hope I will be good for all the divisions on the Olympia TV channel. That's the thing where you have the competitors who win the shows come together, the top 3 competitors. Last year it was Ashley, Andrea, and Angela. But now with the Rising Phoenix changing gears, they did put out invitation list like they usually do, because you usually get an invitation list right before March. But it's going to be an open show, so that means I don't know if they're going to still do the same battle for women's bodybuilding. They might, just with Ashley and Angela and Andrea, but it's up to them.
Hello? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I just got a message that's chicken. So, folks, this is, again, women's physique. It's just, I don't know. What's the standard? Why keep changing the guidelines, keep changing the goalposts? I feel like every year. And the debate is what's going to happen. This talk like, there's fewer shows this year for women's physique. They were kicked out of 3 places as usual. One show they're going to have the Masters, but not the Open. A show coming up that usually had it about every year was the Legion Sports Festival, but now it doesn't have that or figure. And as you know, Jake Wood came in the last minute. Him and Alina Popa. They say we're invited to Tampa. So the question is, will women's physique start getting that same kind of stand eye as women's bodybuilding? If these girls are getting bigger and larger and huger and more developed, will it just push out? And with Fit Model coming in, that's a big question. Would that also help push out women's bodybuilding? What's the point when you have a division that looks so much closer to the other?
Oh, can't tell you.
Yeah. So, bro, you talk about getting ready for the New York Pro. So you gonna enjoy yourself? You gonna have a good time?
Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get there. Get there as much as I can. I'm gonna try to. I mean, try to be there early. Try to get there before I miss like the women's bodybuilding physique. I try to be try to get there on time than how it was last year. I was missing things, and we'll see. We'll see. You never know what can happen. Hopefully I meet somebody and talk a bit. But I'm not gonna lie. Like last year, it felt. I felt a little out of place when I was there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, all these muscle people. I was like, yeah, it's like a planet of it's like a planet of muscle people. Really, I didn't really see like people that was like average, average person. Like I think like when I was like looking at like the videos I filmed, like I probably had seen like some like average people get up and stuff like that, but a lot of them they were big and stuff. And I don't know, I just had like a different like like outlook on them. Like they like close, they really close minded. Like they have like this wall, or what I'm saying, like they don't really. I don't know, but then again, I probably could have said something to some people and stuff. I did speak to one person, but
Yeah, I think you
it's
told me
just
it was
one.
just Fairborn.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's why you too. All it takes is just like I remember when I went to Savannah, and I was kind of because for me it was my first body show I ever went, and I did get to talk to one person that I really appreciate her reaching out to me. I was there was Donna Salih, and
yeah.
I also one guy I interviewed both him and his wife, Stephen, his wife. You know, she's a physique competitor. I don't think she's competing anymore, and she was competing at Savannah, and he was there. We were talking. I also got took some other people, and and I got to meet Lena Popa, and I wish I did more, but it was my first time, and something like
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
and yeah,
it happens. I can't really sweat it. Just you get another chance, you see what you can do. That's it. Don't beat
I'm
yourself
hoping.
up,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
like
but,
that.
like I said, I'm hoping maybe next year I get a chance because I'm trying to save for a
Yeah,
car. And here we got here. Shout out to a man. Damon J says the prize money is always a huge letdown for women. Every time such a unequal, unfair amount of money given to the ladies compared to the men. Well, the thing is, we all know. I keep saying this: the men's division is the bottom bitch. It's the one that's always get the promoters, to get the sponsors to put behind it. The women. I think if the women can get a little, I'm not saying you should get the same. They're not gonna get the same thing as the men, but a little more. I mean, if you're gonna get someone like Derek Love for $100,000, at least give the child like I would say $30,000 or $40,000. I think she would like that. I think competitors who love to have a good chunk of change because think about it. If you do a show and you get at least maybe $20,000, that's enough to take care of most of your expenses because prep is expensive.
mm,
Counting the travel to the shows, counting to getting your hair and makeup done, counting food, paying your coaches. I mean, I do content on MMA. MMA fighters don't get paid as much because most of the stuff they get is comps. But then once they get their fight money, the show money, and also if they like, you just have the UFC just had an event last night. They had some couple fighters who won, performance of the night. That's $50,000, and they get maybe about $60,000 for a fight, if that much. And then after they pay all their people, their coaches, their trainers, everything else, and pay taxes, they may have a good chunk of change. And they think about it, you get $50,000 out of nowhere. Hey, that changes your life. Here we got a comment from my man,
mm.
Sean
I don't
Nimitz.
know when I'm gonna see a good chunk of change.
Yeah, we broke. We can't get it. Sean says Zara Binta looks more like uh, female bodybuilding. Well, she is female bodybuilding. Don't you mean women's bodybuilding? There's a big difference. When you talk about female bodybuilding, you go, okay, female bodybuilding consumes all the divisions: women's bodybuilding, physique, figure, fitness, bikini, wellness, and even But to me, that's not real bodybuilding. Fit model. Here we got here from again from a man Sean. He says Richard Down looks like a cross between WPD and open class FBB. Which means open class women's bodybuilding because she is but she looks like that. She's very close to it. He says this again. He says Rachel Daniels looks more like he says that twice. Brother, yeah. Also, um, he says this. He says WPD looks like open class women's bodybuilding circa 92, 96. No, I wouldn't say that. if you look for those women at the 90s, if you look at people like Linda Murray to Kim Zavetsky, the women physique now are way bigger than them. They're closest to the women, I would say, between the 2000s to 2010. They're closer to the women of the Iris era. They're bigger than Iris. If you look at them, actually, the ones who well, figure competitors are even bigger for the women from the 90s. If you look at them,
Yeah.
we have here again. This is from Ms. Johnson. Diana Dolly has a lot of size for WPD competitor. Yeah, I remember I was interviewing Big Jane. She mentioned her, uh, and she said that she was going to do women's bodybuilding, but she switched to women's physique because she started doing open hands instead of the closed fists. Um, Also, says Sean Millen, the era of women's bodybuilding, open women's bodybuilding was the best era of women's bodybuilding, the early '90s. I would say, yeah, that's true. He says, Diana, he said that again. He's repeating himself. Dude, you gotta, you repeat
Hello?
yourself too much. Hello, hello, can you hear me? All right. Am I going in and out? It might be me. Hello, let me check something. Can you hear me?
Yo,
Can you
I'm
hear
a,
me?
hold on.
Okay. Well, give it a moment. We'll try to come back. We have a comment here. This is from. You see, we got a comment here. This is from. Shout out to Damon J. He says, Sean, part of me that complicate with the way that women's physique division looks because it reminds me of the 1996 era. But another part of me feels it's a bit easier because this is not what WPD should be. Yeah. Also, it's back and forth between Sean. He says, uh, WPD, when the division first came to be in the 2012, compared to now, look like pro female bodybuilding first started in the 80s compared to what it had become by the mid late 90s. You know. Also, this is from Shine says 75,000 prize money for women's physique. That would be nice, but I think they probably won't give them that much. You they won't even get that much at the Olympia. $40,000, for some competitors, and $50,000 for physique and women's bodybuilding. Here he says $100,000 for the women's bodybuilding division since they are the veterans category of the IFBB. Yes, I agree. I agree that that Andrea should get at least $100,000 for for the Miss Olympia. $100,000 is a good chunk of change. Now that they changed the prize money for the Rising Phoenix, it wouldn't be interest for her to compete and get less than what she gets compared to Olympia. And I think she'll rise up the money to prize money. I think that's what Jake might be doing. I hope he gets. Shout out to Sean says I agree with the 1996 being the best era for pro female bodybuilding. And also shout out to says now George they're not bigger than Iris. I've seen them. They're smaller than her. I don't know. If you look again at some of the ladies, I think this is like so you got to think about it. This is Iris was like almost 10 years ago. This is 10 years. Now, if you put, Rachel beside Iris back in 2014, there is a bit of a size spurt. Just a bit. If you put only thing I think one thing would be the legs. But there are
Yeah, why
some
these
women.
people don't come in the panel, man, and talk with you? Ways behind there, they probably know more than me and stuff, and they just behind the panel. But I don't know. Just go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No.
Go
That's
ahead.
the point. That's a good point. That's the point. Damon J, son, you sitting there in the panel section. There's the link. I pinned it. You want to come in? Come in, son. I used to call Raheem Hamilton. Come in, Dad. Come in, boy. Go get your whooping. That's why if you want to quarterback, a Sunday afternoon, couch quarterbacking. Come in, son. That's why I leave that link for anybody who wants to come in and give their thoughts. This is why it's open to anybody. Like some of that one time remember that time we had that guy.
Yeah, that was wow. That was different. I was like, I was like thinking he going somewhere with that Jesus talk. I was like waiting that female bodybuilder gonna come in, just waiting for that. But nah, that was weird, yo. That was like the weirdest one that you had.
Yeah, he just popped in and just like I'll say, okay, sir, and I let him talk for a little bit, and then I said,
Yeah, you had to let him go with that.
I mean, it's crazy. We got here. Shout out to man Sean says nowadays WPD might as well be the new lightweight women's bodybuilding class. As you know, a few years ago, remember back in 2000s, they did create lightweight women's bodybuilding and heavyweight women's bodybuilding. And if you look at kind of a bit, but the aspects are different. The women's bodybuilding has to be more defined, more size. It has a certain look to them, while physique is supposed to be more leaner and athletic. But again, if you look at the women now who are coming up, it's really moving away from what the vision was supposed to be. You know, and if you're looking at physique competitors who are looking more like women's bodybuilding, most say they don't want to move up because they use that excuse that they want to get bigger or be less attractive or like that. But this one young lady, I think she's planning on competing soon. She was a figure competitor, and she made the switch to from physique to from figure to physique. That is Paula Ranta, and Paula, like I said, she's young. She's in her
Yeah,
mid
I'm
20s.
I'm kind of impressed with her. I did like a video earlier. I was tempted. Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, here's
Yeah, how
Paula.
long she
Paula,
been competing? How long she been a pro?
I think she's been pro for maybe 5 or 6 years. She's been Olympia
Yeah.
twice as a figure competitor.
Oh yeah.
And as you know, last year she made the switch from figure to WPD. She did at
Yeah.
least 6 shows, cracked the top five, but I think she needed more time to stew a little bit. I think she jumped in a little too soon.
Did Dave interview her yet?
I don't know, David. I don't know if she speaks English or not.
Yeah, cause he done he this man done made so many interviews with these women. I mean it's not even funny. But
Well,
then
like I
he
said,
and then again he attends to the shows like often.
yeah,
So
because he's going to be in New York.
oh yeah, maybe
He's
I
going to be in
might
New York.
catch him and stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll
Yeah,
catch him.
because he's gonna go to the
Yeah,
finals. I know most definitely gonna be the finals. He right
yeah.
there. He lives in Florida, and a lot of
Florida,
shows. Yeah, a lot of shows in
yeah, he
Florida.
could just drive there and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He would comment from a man. David says Sarah Vigor standing next to Iris Kyle. I might pull a picture like that, but I think Sarah's a little bit leaner compared to Iris, but a person that I would say might fit a little better towards Iris, I would say would be Zama. Zama might, especially around the shoulders. You know. Also, this one, David J says Anna Prince standing next to Iris Kyle. Now, then, ladies are not that big. Yeah, but like I say, yeah, they often say they're always not that big. One thing when you see them in pictures, but compared to shows, yeah, there's a difference. There's a bit of a size disbursement. But there's some women I think it's condition is one thing, size is another thing. It's just like I said again, the walls are kind of getting thin between the two divisions.
I ain't got no comment.
That's
But
all
you
right.
said,
This is
yeah,
a learning process for you. You need to learn a little bit because
yeah,
you're doing your interviews. You're doing interviews, ladies. You have to be aware of what especially when you're doing content on bodybuilding. Some ladies they like to know that you understand what they're dealing with, what they're talking about. Also, you just have to educate yourself just a little bit each time. Because when I do interviews, like
yeah,
when I interview with with Carolyn when she told me that she knew Miss Elizabeth back in the day. I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. I heard when she was saying that. Yeah, that's cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you thought about my interview yesterday?
With the medium, it was interesting.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
a nice
yeah.
lady.
Yeah,
She's got
she
Facebook.
was cool. She was
She's
cool.
got Facebook, no IG.
I asked her, do you have like an Instagram? She wasn't. I think she said she had it, but she don't go there. Something she told me, but she mostly on Facebook. So I just put the link there and whatever.
Yeah,
If you
I'm gonna
want
be
to
on
talk
Facebook
with
too.
her, check her out.
Yeah,
And then any like in the near future.
yeah, I might reach out to you. I'm like now. Like I said, I was get tomorrow. I'm supposed to interview Big Jane. Supposed to have doing tonight, but then stuff happened. I said, you know what? I don't want to leave. I don't want to have an empty muscle talk. So I said, maybe I had this. I already had this thing planned before, but then when
Yeah,
Jane changed her mind and she said, well, let's do it on Monday, and then I said, because originally I was just doing Big Jane, and I was thinking about doing something like this before, but I said, you know what? I said, let me do like when Big Jane canceled my last interview. Said, okay, let's do Monday, and then like I said, it can be frustrating, because you have something set,
of
everything's
course.
set, yeah, and then and I like Jane, but I'm like
Yeah, I
this. If
mean, it ain't nothing personal, but it's like, yo, you just have to be consistent. Cause I had an interview today, but I wasn't stressing it because, sometimes I need a break. It's a lot, and then certain things they telling you, and you gotta listen to what they saying. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It ain't just, like you said, it's you gotta understand this and all that stuff. So, but this she kind of to cancel on me today, but I didn't really care. So I like it's cool. Maybe she should get back to me, but sometimes at the time, when they do that, it can be they keep constantly doing it. It is a little frustrating stuff. Trying, you be trying not to let it get to you, but it's like you put things. The reason you getting frustrated because you kind of putting things together and stuff like that. You posting a video, then you kind of like writing things about them and all that type of stuff. And what I don't do that what you be doing, but I'll try to like make like an intro and stuff